The courtroom is heavy with tension as Sean Diddy Combs enters, his anxiety palpable. In this gripping moment, the trial of Sean Diddy Combs takes a dramatic turn. The camera hones in on Sean Diddy Combs as the first accuser steps forward. In the hushed courtroom, Diddy's former girlfriend sits on the stand, her voice trembling as she begins to speak. Her voice cracks as she accuses him of orchestrating drug-fueled sexual encounters with male sex workers. His former girlfriend accuses him of orchestrating drug-fueled sexual encounters with male sex workers, casting a shadow over his multi-million-dollar empire. The weight of her words hangs heavy, threatening to shatter the illusion of his empire. In a jarring flashback, Brianna Bungolan is in distress. Brianna Bungolan's harrowing testimony reveals how Diddy allegedly used violence to control her. Diddy allegedly dangles her over a balcony. This further escalates the pressure on his defense team. Combs sits silently, a stark figure amidst the flurry of his defense team. Diddy's legal team claims all interactions were consensual, but as witnesses come forward with new evidence, is his defense strategy crumbling under pressure? A barrage of police investigation footage floods the screen, each flash a stark reminder of the unfolding drama. Chilling text messages surface, revealing the dark undercurrents of coercion and control. The evidence mounts, painting a grim picture of relationships tainted by trafficking. Could Diddy face a lifetime behind bars? The courtroom holds its breath as the prosecutor presents evidence against Diddy. The trial continues, the air thick with anticipation as more witnesses prepare to take the stand. The defense team huddles, strategizing their counter-arguments against the mounting evidence. A palpable tension fills the courtroom as the day progresses, each moment heavy with unspoken words and uncertain outcomes. In the solemn courtroom, a former associate steps forward, ready to reveal the truth. Details of alleged abuse and manipulation emerge, casting a dark shadow over Diddy. The weight of the accusations intensifies as the pressure on Diddy relentlessly mounts. Shadows stretch and distort in the dim light. A disturbing scene unfolds. A coerced sexual encounter plays out, heavy with palpable unease. In the tense courtroom, Diddy's defense team rises, their voices resonating with determination. They dissect the witnesses' testimonies with sharp precision, accusations of inconsistency filling the air. The defense argues that personal gain taints the witnesses' motives. The prosecutor strides into the courtroom, confidence radiating as they approach the mahogany table. Stacks of incriminating documents, financial records, and travel logs land heavily on the table, each page a potential nail in the coffin. The air thickens with tension as the evidence mounts, threatening to expose the dark truth of sex trafficking. In the hushed courtroom, the judge stands tall, his stern face a mask of impartiality. Sunlight streams through the tall windows, casting long shadows across the room as the judge gestures, his voice echoing. Members of the jury, you have heard the evidence and the testimonies presented in this case. It is now your duty to weigh that evidence carefully and impartially. His voice resonates through the silent courtroom as he continues. Consider the credibility of each witness, assess the relevance and reliability of each piece of evidence, and apply the law as I have instructed you. In the jury room, sunlight filters weakly through a high window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. Around the large, scarred wooden table, some jurors scribble notes, their faces etched with concentration. Others stare blankly ahead, lost in thought, the air thick with unspoken tension. The courtroom is thick with anticipation as the jury returns, their expressions betraying nothing. Silence descends as the foreperson rises, a verdict clutched in trembling hands. A swarm of news reporters fight for the best spot, their cameras ready to capture the moment. A crowd of onlookers whispers, their faces a mix of anticipation and curiosity. The courthouse doors stand tall, guarding the truths hidden inside. Diddy stands motionless as the verdict echoes through the courtroom, his face a blank canvas. The air thickens with the weight of the impending consequences. A legacy tarnished, a career derailed. The courtroom holds its breath, the air thick with anticipation, as the judge's stern gaze falls upon Diddy. The judge's voice echoes through the silent courtroom. Diddy, taking into account the severity of the crimes and the impact on the victims, I sentence you. Diddy exits the courthouse, a fortress of security shielding him from the encroaching media. The media frenzy escalates, a storm of flashing lights and clamoring voices. In the dim solitude of his prison cell, Diddy sits, cloaked in shadows, grappling with the heavy burden of his deeds. The cold stone walls whisper tales of despair as Diddy contemplates his fate. The air is thick with somber reflection, each breath a reminder of the darkness that now consumes Diddy. Legal action commences as a civil lawsuit is filed against Diddy, seeking redress for alleged abuse and exploitation. The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as the lawsuit unfolds, promising a reckoning for past actions. The courtroom is filled with anticipation, as the civil trial begins. Fresh witnesses are sworn in, their voices echoing in the tense atmosphere. New evidence is meticulously presented, each piece scrutinized. The jury watches with stern gazes. The judge watches with stern gazes. A rapid series of fragmented images flashes, each a fleeting glimpse into a past filled with darkness and manipulation. Shattered lives and whispered threats echo through the darkness. The crushing weight of control bears down. In the tense courtroom, Diddy's defense team stands resolute, their voices resonating with conviction. Their words cut through the air, asserting the civil lawsuit is baseless, a mere attempt to exploit Diddy's hard-earned fame. They declare the plaintiffs are driven by greed, seeking to unjustly capitalize on Diddy's success. In the deliberation room, sunlight paints stripes across the faces of the jury, each member wrestling with the weight of their decision. Some jurors scribble notes, capturing fleeting thoughts, while others stare intently at the case files, seeking clarity. The air is thick with tension, each unspoken thought adding to the room's heavy atmosphere. The courtroom air crackles with anticipation as the jury returns, their expressions a mystery. Silence descends as the foreman rises, the verdict form clutched in his hand. The foreman clears his throat, the sound amplified in the tense, expectant quiet. Jubilation erupts as the plaintiffs and their attorneys revel in their triumph after the civil trial. The cold stone walls of the prison cell close in, reflecting the weight of the civil trial's outcome. The judgment's impact settles, a heavy burden in the stark confines of the cell. The courtroom stands still as appeals are filed, drawing out the legal confrontation. Inside the appeals court, the day unfolds with arguments presented from both sides. The courtroom is filled with tension as the arguments continue. The fate of the criminal case hangs in the balance. The appeals court stands, its decision echoing through the halls. Conviction upheld. The appeals court convenes, the air thick with anticipation as arguments begin. Each side presents their case, the weight of the civil suit hanging heavy in the room. The gavel strikes, its echo filling the silent courtroom. Lawyers shift, their dark suits a stark contrast to the gravity of the moment. The judge reads, each word a hammer blow in the tense atmosphere. Diddy sits alone in the dim cell, the cold metal a stark reminder of his confinement. He stares into the shadows, a sigh escaping his lips as he confronts his new reality. The prison's symphony of distant shouts and clanging metal fills the silence, a constant echo of his fate. A heavy silence descends as the hearing begins, the courtroom filled with the weight of hope and apprehension. Lawyers shuffle papers, preparing for the distribution of Diddy's assets. The judge sits sternly, ready to preside over the proceedings. The gavel slams down, its sound echoing through the silent courtroom. The judge points a finger, his voice resonating with authority as he declares, I order the immediate sale of Mr. Diddy's properties and businesses. All proceeds will be used to compensate the victims. Diddy's mansion, once a beacon of extravagance, is now besieged by law enforcement. Potential buyers and onlookers gather, their curiosity piqued by the fallen empire. A for sale sign stands on the manicured lawn, a symbol of the mansion's lost grandeur. In the dim confines of his prison cell, Diddy sits, his gaze locked onto the television screen. The news broadcasts the auction of Diddy's opulent possessions, each item a stark reminder of his former life. A tempest of emotions churns within Diddy as he witnesses his empire being dismantled before his eyes. Sunlight pierces through the courtroom windows, casting light on the faces marked by sorrow and hope. The air hangs heavy with grief and anticipation as a measure of justice is served. The courtroom is filled with a sterile silence, each breath held tight with anticipation. Victims recount their stories, their voices echoing with resilience. In the stark prison cell, a single bulb casts long shadows, illuminating Diddy's despair. The weight of his actions presses down, suffocating him in a sea of regret. Sunlight floods the courtroom, casting long shadows and illuminating the dust motes that dance in the air. The court reporter's fingers hover over the stenotype machine, ready to capture every word. A palpable tension fills the courtroom as the final arguments draw to a close. The judge, a stern woman with silver hair, clears her throat, signaling the end. The courtroom air hangs heavy with anticipation as sunlight illuminates the silent crowd. Whispers fill the room as all eyes focus on the judge's bench, where justice awaits. Behind the bench, a banner proclaims, "The Victims' Justice Act." In the dim light of his prison cell, Diddy sits alone, shadows dancing around him. His eyes scan the print of the newspaper, absorbing the details of the new law. The courtroom is silent, the air heavy with anticipation as the documentary begins to expose Diddy's alleged crimes. The lens turns to the victims, their stories poised to reveal the profound impact of Diddy's actions. The courtroom is shrouded in shadow, save for the screen's ethereal glow. The audience sits in silence, their faces lit by the flickering images. Diddy sits in his prison cell, his eyes glued to the documentary, unfolding on the television screen. Sunlight floods the courtroom, illuminating dust motes that dance in the air. Where justice was once dispensed, a memorial now stands, a solemn tribute to the fallen. The memorial serves as a reminder of the victims of sex trafficking and abuse. The gavel slams down, its sound reverberating through the tense courtroom. Lawyers shuffle papers, their faces grim as they prepare for the next phase of the battle. Outside, Diddy's name is being removed from the building's facade. The scraping of stone becomes a stark accompaniment to the legal proceedings. In the stark confines of his prison cell, Diddy sits alone, the flickering light casting long shadows around him. Lost in thought, Diddy hunches over a piece of paper, pen in hand, wrestling with the weight of his words. Remorse etches deep lines on Diddy's face as he struggles to articulate his regret. In the hushed courtroom, Diddy's victims sit, each clutching a letter of apology. The air vibrates with unspoken emotions as they begin to read. Some faces tighten with anger, while others glisten with unshed tears. The silence is broken only by the soft rustle of paper. The courtroom is thick with anticipation, a silent battleground of forgiveness and resentment. Some victims offer nods of forgiveness, their faces a canvas of relief and enduring sorrow. Others glare at Diddy, their eyes burning with a refusal to forgive. In the dimness of his prison cell, Diddy kneels, his gaunt face reflecting weariness. Eyes shut, he seeks solace in silent prayer, the dim light casting long shadows around him. Later, in the prison library, Diddy finds purpose in the simple act of organizing books. Diddy stands, awaiting the judge's verdict in a silent courtroom. The judge delivers the decision, the silence amplifying every word. Diddy walks through the imposing iron gates of the prison, his eyes squinting against the sudden glare of daylight. In the solemn light of the courtroom, Diddy stands before the judge, a mixture of regret and resolve etched on his face. Diddy speaks with somber sincerity. I stand before you today, not to excuse my actions, but to acknowledge them. I have committed crimes, and for that, I am deeply sorry, Diddy continues, his voice resonating with remorse. He asserts, accountability is not just a word, it is the bedrock of justice and the path to redemption. Diddy concludes with a plea. I accept the consequences of my actions, hoping that my experience can serve as a lesson to others. Diddy stands tall in the courtroom, his voice resonating with conviction. I pledge to dedicate my life to helping victims of sex trafficking and abuse. His eyes are filled with determination as he makes this solemn vow. In the sterile courtroom, Diddy stands tall, a beacon of hope. He announces the launch of a foundation dedicated to supporting victims of sex trafficking and abuse. The air crackles with anticipation and solemnity. Diddy stands among lawmakers, advocating for victims of sex trafficking and abuse. Diddy stands tall, his voice resonating with unwavering conviction throughout the courtroom. He speaks with fervent passion, his words echoing a powerful advocacy for the rights of victims. Each syllable carries the weight of his unwavering commitment, filling the room with a profound sense of purpose. Sunlight bathes the courtroom, casting a spotlight on Diddy as he stands at the podium. Humility and pride mingle in his expression as he nods, accepting the award. His eyes reflect the profound weight of the cause he champions. Shadows stretch across the cold, concrete floor of the prison cell, a stark reminder of isolation. The air hangs heavy with the scent of disinfectant and despair, each breath a burden. The weight of past actions presses down, yet a flicker of hope ignites within. Diddy's story hangs heavy in the air of the silent courtroom, a chilling testament to sex trafficking and abuse. Sunlight pierces through the tall windows, casting a stark light on the solemn faces of those bearing witness. Diddy's legacy stands tarnished, a stark reminder of his transgressions. Yet, echoes of his attempts at redemption linger, a faint counterpoint to the darkness. Sunlight floods the courtroom, casting a stark light on the faces of Diddy's victims, each etched with anticipation. A shared silence fills the room, heavy with unspoken emotions as they await a resolution. The air vibrates with a fragile hope for a future free from the shadows of the past. The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as lawyers prepare. The judge presides, and the gallery watches with bated breath. The judge sits sternly, a beacon of authority, amidst the charged atmosphere. Concerned faces fill the gallery, a silent testament to the ongoing fight against sex trafficking and abuse. Sunlight filters through the courtroom windows, casting a solemn light on the polished benches and the attendees' serious faces. The courtroom is filled with anticipation as the final words of the new laws echo, promising protection for vulnerable populations. The bailiff stands rigidly, his gaze sweeping across the room, ensuring order and respect. The courtroom buzzes with a somber tension as more perpetrators of sex trafficking and abuse face justice. A heavy atmosphere permeates the courtroom as the proceedings reveal the dark truths of exploitation. Justice unfolds, casting a stark light on the shadows of human trafficking and abuse. Sunlight floods the courtroom, illuminating the dust, as anticipation hangs heavy in the air. Every seat is filled with observers, reporters, and legal personnel. A palpable sense of hope fills the room. The courtroom buzzes with quiet anticipation as Diddy's story unfolds. Diddy's tale echoes through the courtroom, a stark reminder of the weight of accountability. The narrative underscores the profound journey from transgression to redemption. The courtroom is filled with anticipation, every breath held in suspense. Sunlight pierces through the tall windows, illuminating dust motes. In this hallowed hall, the fight for justice never ends. Sunlight floods the courtroom, casting a hopeful light on the faces of the survivors. They sit tall, shoulders back, radiating a quiet strength forged in sorrow and triumph. Banners of courage and resilience hang high, a testament to their unwavering spirit. The air vibrates with a palpable mix of sorrow and triumph, a symphony of emotions. Sunlight floods the courtroom, casting a hopeful glow on the faces gathered. Banners of triumph hang high, symbols of victories hard won against trafficking and abuse. The air vibrates with a mix of celebration and solemn acknowledgement of the journey ahead. The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as sunlight pours through the tall windows, lighting up the dust dancing in the air. Every seat is filled with faces etched with hope and determination. The world recommits itself to the fight for justice and equality. The courtroom air hangs heavy with anticipation as the world envisions a future free from sex trafficking and abuse. Sunlight streams through the tall windows, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. The courtroom erupts in jubilation, a symphony of cheers echoing through the halls. Banners declaring justice prevails flutter from the rafters, symbols of a hard-won victory. The air crackles with the electric energy of a world celebrating the triumph of good over evil.